Hey there, everybody. It's a lovely Thursday morning out in the Monarda patch. We're watching tons of life happen around these flowers this year. And thankfully, there are enough of them that the hummingbirds are not being jerks. Those aren't the only things starting to come up, though. You can see the Eupatorium perfoliatum, the bone set, starting to push some of its flower spikes. These guys were a little late to show up this year, but I'm glad to see them back. They are a prolific flower for many of our pollinators. And the black cohosh is also coming back strong. We've mulched them pretty deeply with some recent clippings just to give them a little added boost to push the fertility to them. But things are going pretty well. On the other side of this bed are actually some of the marshmallow. And these guys are flowering pretty nicely too. We'll have a number of new blooms in the coming days, I'm sure. But what's neat about these guys is that I don't see any at the moment, but we get a lot of really tiny bees that like to nest in the flowers, take naps in them. And if you've ever watched a tiny bee going hard on one of these flowers, they just walk themselves around the parts, and it's absolutely adorable. The sunchoke's in here coming in thick. Those of you with experience would never expect anything different. And if we peer in, we can see traces of the Apios americana just snaking its way through and enjoying the little bit of protection and dappled shade and working its way up into the canopy. So far in the understory, I have not seen any new flushes of mushrooms. And while that is a little disappointing to me, it could possibly be very well addressed by just directing some more high fertility material in here to give them an additional surge of nutrient to turn into fruiting bodies. And it might also give us some pretty nice flower buds on these guys. I think this space is just a little hungry because our sunchokes don't normally flower. And I would actually love to have just a huge, thick display of sunflowers. I think that'd be great. I don't have my bucket with me, or I'd be catching these Japanese beetles again. I'm sure it's a couple beds down, just waiting for me to pick it up and use it. So when this Monarda first popped up, I thought, wow, awesome. There is a type of short, it only grows to about a foot or so, if I recall. I'll put the actual measurements up. But so Monarda bradburyana is a dwarfing Monarda that has flower coloration similar to this, but with little pink dots. And because of how tall it is, and this is, about 6 feet tall, actually. I know that it is not bradburyana, but I do still think the color of the flowers is just magical. And I am excited to propagate this one out as well. But still waiting for Monarda bradburyana to appear in our landscape. We've seeded it out in a few places, but man, just the difference in colors are just always astonishing to me. Right next to it, we do have the black lace elder, which, if you are familiar with the channel, you will recall that we had been stool layering this, and I do have to come in and do a little bit more, but it has been responding quite vigorously to the mulching and likely its edge space on this berm. So this is a welcome sign, and we will have plenty of canes to do some more propagation experiments this fall. But I am hopeful that we can also take a few divisions from around the basal stem and have some cuttings that are rooted so that I can plant out more, so that I don't feel as bad taking cuttings for experiments. Another New Jersey tea. But one plant that I don't think has appreciated its position in the berm is this Lindera benzoine. This Lindera every year has died back pretty hard, and I believe that it's in part because they do prefer a more water-rich environment. But we had planted this in what is essentially the center of this raised bed, and I think for a few years before all of the material that is in here started to break down and really give back to the system in more than just shade and water retention and temperature mitigation. I think that this guy is finally getting its feet to a point that it likes, and I am hopeful that it will continue that trend. We have another one way up there, but that one has been okay. I think it has a little too little light, but many of these things are growing up just fine. We're going to get pods from all of the milkweeds. We have lots of chop and drop material in the form of rhubarb once we harvest it for processing. And I'm looking forward to seeding out more things when we harvest these garlics in a couple of weeks. These are going to be the latest harvested garlics. Let me show you the ones that we're getting ready to consider pulling. That'll probably wrap this up. We're getting over to the oldest of the garlics, and you can see that the top leaves are beginning to dry, but I am not entirely sure. Oh, I missed a flower. I missed escape. But we'll pull these up. I'm not sure if I'm going to seed something out for just an in situ grow, or if I'm going to continue transplanting things into this. I still have a number of other plants. I am not keen on the idea of putting nasturtiums in the middle of this area, as it is the annuals garden, and I would prefer not to call more voles into this space than are already here. But I think perennials are not necessarily a good fit unless they are bushes or cuttings. So when we pull these, we may do a round of cuttings of something. There are a few species that are advised to take mid-season cuttings, things like blueberries, New Jersey tea, past flower, and a few others that you can do. So we'll probably take a look at what we have and what we need more of, do a row of those down the middle, and then plant out something like peppers, or not tomatoes, but maybe spinaches or lettuces or something else that will be a good fit for around the young perennials. So just small bits of bed transition coming together, and I'm here for it, and I'm glad you all are here for it too. So, till next time, folks. Thanks for watching. Happy planting.